Good morning, everyone. David Russo here with the Daily Hope for us today. We're going to be reading in Joshua chapter 7, verses 1 through 13. So if you have a Bible, you can pull that out. And while you're turning there, I want to give us a little bit of context as to what happened at the end of Joshua chapter 6. So the Lord has brought the nation of Israel into the first stages of conquering the promised land. They come up against the fortified city of Jericho, and they're commanded to march around the walls of Jericho, and on the final day they're going to shout and blow the priestly trumpets, and the Lord miraculously causes the walls of Jericho to crash down, allowing Israel to march into the city and secure the victory. One command that God gave to Israel, though, before they conquered the city is he said, "Only be sure to give me the devoted things. All of the gold, all of the silver, all of the bronze, all of the iron." So the Lord basically set up some preconditions to their conquering of the city. He says that you must give me, the Lord, all of the gold, the silver, the bronze, and the iron. So that's where we start off in verse 1 here in chapter 7. It says, "But the Israelites were unfaithful in regard to the devoted things. Achan, son of Carmi, the son of Zimri, the son of Zerah of the tribe of Judah, took some of them. So the Lord's anger burned against Israel. Now Joshua sent men from Jericho to Ai, which is near Beth-aven to the east of Bethel, and he told them, 'Go up and spy out the region.' So the men went up and spied out Ai. When they returned to Joshua, they said, 'Not all the army will have to go up against Ai. Send 2,000 or 3,000 men to take it, and do not weary out the whole army, for only a few people live there.' So about 3,000 went up, but they were routed by the men of Ai, who killed about 36 of them. They chased the Israelites from the city gate as far as the stone quarries and struck them down on the slopes. At this, the hearts of the people melted in fear and became like water." So a quick pause. Remember, Israel is riding high off the victory over Jericho just before this. And it's looking like it's going to get better and better and easier. The spies come back. They tell Joshua, this is an easy win. You don't even have to send out the whole army. But instead of an easy win, we see that the men of Israel are routed. They're chased down by the inhabitants of Ai. And so the hearts of the people are melted with fear. They notice that there's a stark difference from the Lord's deliverance in Jericho to what's happening right now. Let's keep reading. "Then Joshua," verse 6, "tore his clothes, and he fell face down to the ground before the ark of the Lord, remaining there till evening. The elders of Israel did the same, and sprinkled dust on their heads. And Joshua said, 'Alas, sovereign Lord, why did you ever bring this people across the Jordan to deliver us into the hands of the Amorites to destroy us? If only we had been content to stay on the other side of the Jordan. Pardon your servant, Lord. What can I say, now that Israel has been routed by its enemies? The Canaanites and the other people of the country will hear about this, and they will surround us and wipe out our name from the earth. What then will you do for your own great name?' The Lord said to Joshua, 'Stand up. What are you doing down on your face? Israel has sinned. They have violated my covenant, which I commanded them to keep. They have taken some of the devoted things. They have stolen. They have lied. They have put them with their own possessions. That is why the Israelites cannot stand against their enemies. They turn their backs and run, because they have been made liable to destruction. I will not be with you any more, unless you destroy whatever among you is devoted to destruction.'" So, quick pause there. I love this about God. The fact that he tells Joshua to stand up. He says, "Why are you on your face? Get up, stand up. All is not lost." And even though the favor of God is off of the nation of Israel in this moment, the heart of God remains with Israel. And before we read the final verse, I just want to encourage us as a church family that there's a difference, I think, between the heart of God and the favor of God. I believe that the heart of God is always for his sons and his daughters, but the favor of God comes upon his people through obedience. And we see that God is a holy God. He sees any sin in the camp. He sees any sin in his sons and daughters, and he wants to free us from these things. Let's read the last verse and finish with a meditation there. In verse 13 it says, "Go, consecrate the people," this is God to Joshua, Tell them, consecrate yourselves in preparation for tomorrow. For this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. There are devoted things among you. You cannot stand against your enemies until you remove them. And church, for us, this is where we are today. There are things in our hearts that the Lord is wanting to expose so that his favor can rest more fully upon us. I pray that each of us would spend time today in community, with friends, with trusted brothers and sisters in Christ, and just asking God to search us for things that are supposed to be devoted to him that we're holding back, which is ultimately holding back his favor from resting upon us. I pray that you be blessed and that the Lord would be gracious to you as he searches you out and searches me out this morning.